How's it going, guys? It's K Cars, and in this video I'm going to be talking about the new C8 Corvette and also talking about some information about the C8 Z06, ZR1, and the new Zora. So, hope you guys enjoy the video. We all know it's the mid-engine one. It's supposed to be like a supercar, really cool. And in this video I kind of wanted to go over like my thoughts on it and maybe talk about if I think it's like overhyped. I know a lot of car YouTubers have the new C8, for example Street Speed 717, TJ Hunt, and the Stradman. He actually just sold his C8. That right there tells me that the C8 really is an awesome car, and kind of like my first impressions, I wasn't really a fan when it first came out, but that's kind of how I am with most cars, and I feel like that's how a lot of other people are as well. Whenever the new Super came out, I feel like everybody thought it was really ugly and stuff, but now it kind of grew on everybody, and a lot of people actually have one and they really enjoy it. So it's kind of a similar case with the new C8 Corvette. So to answer the question, do I think it's overhyped or not? I would say no, I don't think it's too overhyped. I think just because a lot of people have one right now, or at least a lot of YouTubers have one, I think that's why people are saying that it's overhyped. Because the reason that I think it was hyped up so much is because obviously it was supposed to be a mid-engine, and it is a mid-engine, and it was supposed to be more like a supercar, which I do think it's a lot more like a supercar. And also the dual clutch transmission comes into play with the whole supercar thing. There's definitely a lot to talk about with the C8 Corvette, and I think those are the three main reasons why it was hyped up so much. And that's completely understandable. Like, I'm not complaining that it shouldn't have been hyped up as much as it was, because I think it's an amazing car and I would love to have one day. That would be awesome. No, I don't think it was overhyped. I do think it was hyped up a lot, and I understand why, because it's an awesome car. So let's go ahead and start with some of the details of the new 2020 C8 Corvette. Of course, the first thing most people want to know is the price. So for the new 2020 C8 Corvette, the base model starts out at $60,000. If you take an actual supercar with performance that's similar to the C8, you're not going to find one for $60,000. It's going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars more expensive than the C8. And I think that's one reason why I think a lot of people are really interested in the C8 Corvette, just because of the price point. Like $60,000 for a brand new mid-engine Corvette, dual clutch transmission, crazy fast 0 to 60 times for what it is. I think that's a really good point to talk about, is the $60,000 base price for the new C8. I think that's also one reason why I think it was hyped up so much. So when you look at the C7 Corvette and compare it to the C8, you can tell that with the C7 being front engine, the weight was pretty evenly distributed among the car. So it was about a 50-50 split with the weight distribution. And then of course, looking at the C8, we all know it has the mid-engine. So the C8 is more of like a 40-60 split, so 60% of the weight is over the rear wheels, which definitely helps a lot more with traction, and which is why it was able to perform a 0 to 60 time in 2.8 seconds, which is over a second faster than the C7 Stingray. Now I think that's insane coming from a car like this, especially one that you can get for $60,000. So just taking into consideration the new LT2 engine that the C8 has, it's the 6.2 liter V8, producing 495 horsepower with the performance exhaust, or 490 without the performance exhaust. And we all know it's naturally aspirated. So I think it's really insane that the new C8 can put down a 0 to 60 time of 2.8 seconds. Like, I just can't wrap my head around that. That's insanely fast. Like, this car, it has a 6.4 liter V8, 470 horsepower to the wheels, which is more than the C8. I think the C8s were dynoing around like 420 to the wheel stock. So this car does have more horsepower, but it also weighs a lot more, and the stock 0 to 60 time on a Challenger Scat Pack is 4.2. So that just shows you how impressive that 0 to 60 time actually is on the C8. Also, while we were talking about the weight distribution, let's actually talk about the actual weight. So the new C8 weighs in right around 3,600 pounds, which is a little bit heavier than the C7. But I think they definitely made up for that with the weight distribution, with more weight going over the rear wheels, providing it more traction and a much better 0 to 60 time. So I think that increase in weight, really, they made up for it in a lot of good ways. There was actually a test done by Car and Driver with the C8, comparing it to the C7 Z06 and ZR1. And 0 to 60, the base model C8 was actually faster than the previous generation Z06 and ZR1. Now, with that being said, the Z06 and ZR1 were traveling at a much faster speed. Like at the end of the quarter mile, if they were doing a drag race, they would have been going at a much faster speed. But 0 to 60, the C8 base model is quicker. It's all thanks to that weight distribution and more weight going over the rear wheels, plus the dual clutch transmission. I think some people were looking for a manual transmission option in the new C8, and I think that definitely would have been cool. But you really just can't beat a dual clutch when it comes to performance. Now, I do understand driving a manual, you do feel the car a lot more, you can control it better, it's more fun to drive a manual, but when it comes to performance, dual clutch is definitely the way to go. I think one of the biggest complaints that I've heard about the C8 is the stock exhaust sound. I know a lot of people say it sounds like a vacuum cleaner and you need to put an exhaust on it immediately, which I kind of agree with that. It really doesn't sound too great like just stock. Of course, not every car is going to sound amazing from the factory. Like most cars, you have to put an exhaust on it to actually make it sound like the way you actually want it to sound. And one other thing that we have to keep in mind is that this is the base model C8. Like, this is the Stingray. We still have like 4 more trims to go. I believe in 2022 the Z06 will be coming out. After that the Grand Sport, after that the ZR1, and after that is going to be, I believe it's called the Zora, which is supposed to be like a insane twin turbo hybrid supercar or something, making like 1,000 horsepower. So I'm really excited for that. I can't even wait. Like, I also have heard rumors of the C8 Z06 being NA, naturally aspirated, which I'm not too sure if I'm excited for that. I would like to definitely see it supercharged. I think going from a C7 Z06 being supercharged to the new Z06 being NA, I think that's definitely a step down. I don't think that's what people want to see. And they were also talking about making it like less displacement, and also some people are saying it's going to be about 600 horsepower, which I don't really know if that makes sense. So I'm hoping Chevy will come up with a pretty good surprise for us for these next few C8 trim models, especially for the Z06, because I definitely do not want to see that one be NA, even if it is a lot higher revving like they say it's going to be. But like I said, one of the rumors is that it's going to be 600 horsepower, and you just can't have that. Like, going from 650 to 600 in the next model, I don't know if people are going to like that. I have heard rumors that the C8 Z06 is going to be using the 5.5 liter V8. We all know the C7 Z06 use a 6.2, so the C8 will be going down in displacement, but it will definitely be going up in like RPMs. It's supposed to be able to rev to about 8,500 to 9,000 RPMs, which is going to be really insane. It's going to be screaming up there, and it's definitely going to sound a lot better. So I think that's one of the reasons how they're able to make it have that much power without being supercharged. Like I said, the rumor that I heard for power is 600 or 650. I'm not really sure which one to believe, and I really don't want to believe that it's going to be naturally aspirated, but I would like to see a supercharger, and I feel like a lot more people would like to see a supercharger instead of a Z06 that is NA. Also supposed to be starting out at about 85,000, which I think that's a pretty good price for a Z06, considering it's going to be the new C8. Now, I'm not exactly sure how much the C7 Z06 costed brand new, but I believe it was more than $85,000. Now, moving on after the Z06, in 2023, the Grand Sport is supposed to come out in that year. With the Grand Sport, it's not going to be using the 5.5 liter found in the Z06, but instead it's supposed to be using the LT2 found in the C8 Stingray, so the 6.2 liter V8. But with that being said, it might also be a hybrid, so that's how they're going to make it a lot faster than the previous version. I think that's definitely a really efficient way to give a car more power, but I'm not really sure if I would like to see that on a muscle car. Now, I know it definitely does work, but I think having like a supercharger or a turbocharger would definitely be a lot better and more pleasing to the people, at least in my opinion. The only question that I have with this is, why would they put the hybrid for the Grand Sport instead of the Z06? Now, from my understanding, the Grand Sport was always like slower than the Z06, so I'm not really sure why they're making the two models so close in horsepower and performance. They're just making like different engines. Like the Z06 is supposed to be a 5.5 liter NA, like no hybrid or anything, just a high revving V8. And the Grand Sport is supposed to be a 6.2 liter hybrid. So they are making them pretty close in performance, like right around 600 to 650 horsepower for both trims. But they're just making different engines. So I'm not really sure what the reasoning is behind that. Maybe just to give people different options. Maybe if they want a hybrid or they just want something NA. I'm not really sure, but we can only find out when it comes out. Now, moving on to 2024 after the Grand Sport to the ZR1. I'm extremely excited to see this new ZR1. from the rumors that I've heard is that it's going to be using the same 5.5 liter V8 that's going to be using the Z06, except it's also going to be twin turbocharged, which that's the most insane part. There's never been a turbo Corvette like stock coming from the factory with a twin turbo setup, like completely stock. That's going to be insane, especially on a high revving 5.5 liter. I can't even imagine how good that's going to sound with the turbos. Another cool thing that I've heard about the ZR1 is that the rear spoiler is actually going to be movable. That's the kind of thing you would see on maybe like an Apollo. So it's definitely going to be insane around the track, and it's also supposed to have about 850 horsepower, which is also insane. And new for the C8 generation of the Corvettes is the new Zora. Now, I really haven't heard much about this car. I haven't really heard many people talk about it, but it's supposed to come out in 2025, and it's supposed to use the same engine as the ZR1, but also add electric assistance. So it's supposed to be a hybrid 5.5 liter twin turbocharged V8. Now, what's cool about the new Zora is I think the electric motors are supposed to power the front wheels, and the actual V8 is supposed to power the rear wheels. So it's going to be an all-wheel drive setup, and it's also supposed to make 1,000 horsepower. And if all of that is true, then it's definitely going to be a game changer. Like, I don't even know what to say about it, but it's going to be one of the most insane cars ever built. And I'm extremely excited to see the new Zora and the ZR1 and the Z06 and the Grand Sport and just all the C8 models. Because just knowing that this new C8 Stingray that just came out in 2020, just seeing how insane that thing is already, and it's just the base model, then I can't even imagine what the Zora is going to be like with 1,000 horsepower, you know, like twice as much as the current model. So yeah, it's definitely going to be insane. I'm really excited to see all the new trim models of the C8. That's basically it for this video, guys. Make sure to let me know down in the comments which trim you're most excited about, whether that's the Grand Sport, Z06, ZR1, or the Zora. I'm assuming most of you are going to be most excited about the Zora, because I know I am. I'm really excited for the ZR1 too, like the first twin turbo Corvette from the factory. That's going to be insane. So yeah, if you guys have any questions or video suggestions for videos you would like to see in the future, definitely drop those down in the comments. And if you like this video or found it entertaining, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.